talk about the shooty shoot. But before we do, I really want to put some context to this. Um, what was this guy's name? I forget his name. Pr- Pretty? I don't remember what his name was. I'm blanking on the guy's name. The big one, the dude that got shot after being disarmed. Um, yeah, I can't remember what his name was. It was something Pretty. Pretty. Yeah, that was it. Um, I'm getting tired of hearing, oh, well, he had two magazines, so that's intent. No, no, that's not intent. Um, what is intent is being a part of these signal chats that are basically dispatching QRFs to go fuck with ICE. That's intent. But carrying two magazines does not make intent. I'm getting real tired of hearing that because for a long time, I carried a spare mag when I would carry my Glock. Right now, I just kind of carry. Oh shit! I carry the Glock in just this holster, and then if I need to plus up, I can throw these on my belt. I have two more mags, and then if I want to go a little more overt, I have a whole nother outside the waistband holster that goes with these two 17 round mags. Now these live in a bag. This is all I have on me is this. Carrying this versus that does not prove intent. It does nothing. I can put this on and wear this for a long time. When I carried a 1911, I carried two mags. I would carry one in the gun and I would carry a second mag. Um, so I would have another one just hanging out on my belt line. Um, it doesn't prove intent. It doesn't mean that I wanted to go get my gunfight on. It just showed that I carried two mags. The problem with this is if I run it, I usually run it here, and it prints pretty badly. And this would be more of an overt, like, yeah, I'm running, but like it prints real bad, so I generally don't run it. This is more for like a shit has gone sideways, and I don't care so much about being the gray man. I'm looking to be left alone, or we're gonna fight about it. But I digress. This whole he had two mags, so that proves intent makes no sense. Or rather, I should say one spare mag because two mags makes it sound like he was carrying a mag in the gun plus two more. No, he was carrying one spare mag. This is my wife's carry gun. When she carries, this is what she rocks. Notice a spare mag with a base plate, mostly because it goes with the holster and she really loves blue. But I digress. I really want to deck this thing out in blue for her. Like I want to get like a blue trigger done up and like get like blue controls over here done up. I would really like to do that for her. She is the most amazing wife. But I digress. That's not what we're talking about. Point I'm making here is when she carries this, this does not make intent. Okay? Carrying a gun with a spare mag does not make intent. They want to say, oh, well, the red dot and the spare mag means, oh, he had intent. Someone like my wife, who is what's called cross-eye dominant, where she's right-handed, but her left eye is her dominant eye, cross-eye dominant, she would benefit from using a red dot on a pistol. Now, for the most part, I don't really think that it's worth it. This is just my opinion. I don't really think that it's worth it to do all that, but um, unless in like her situation, then yeah. But for me personally, keep it simple, stupid. I'm not. I don't dislike dots. I'm just keep it simple, stupid. We'll get into all that stuff later. I really want to get into what I've heard over the past few days, and the big thing that I've been hearing from those on the right is, well, he was carrying a second magazine, which meant he was looking for a fight. No, he was part of a signal terror group, which meant he was looking for a fight. The amount of ammo he was carrying doesn't fucking matter. So let's jump over and let's listen to Tim Pool for a minute. because Tim's going to kind of lay the foundation of what's going on here.
Civil war, my friends. Now, I don't know that it's fair to say that...
Oh my God, because it auto-played that first 5 seconds.
Welcome to the Civil War, my friends. Now, I don't know that it's fair to say that we are in full-scale, widespread civil war. I think based on history, one could argue that we are in pre-civil war or civil strife still. But I would actually make this argument. Because of the advancement of generational warfare...
I just want to point out, I don't know if this is coming through, it makes Tim look very pale. I'm not doing that. That's just like the way it's looking on my screen. I don't know if that's how it looks for you guys, but I'm not doing that.
Fair. What we're looking at is just fifth generational civil war. That is, the left has understood this for some time. And going back to Yuri Bezmenov, we hear about demoralization, institutional capture. In the past, standing in a building made you the king. Seriously. A military coup, 10 guys storm in, take out the command structure, come out on the balcony and say, we're in charge now, and everyone shrugs. It's kind of weird, right? These days, it's not possible. Because of telecommunications networks, we can stay in touch with each other, and simply taking a position will not grant you authority. Now, to be fair, I'm being somewhat facetious. You didn't just stand in the building. You needed a chain of command structure, and then people would start to fall in line and just follow orders. The left has understood this for some time. Tactics matter in this conflict. It's not just going to be street-level battles. So it's structured like this. First, here's the news. The Minneapolis Autonomous Zone has been established. Government officials have publicly declared they have been part of organized efforts to stage insurrection against the federal government.
Okay, so that's the important part. There's more important things coming. But the reason I'm saying this is all very important to the shooting breakdown is because this is the context of what this guy was involved in. Now, I think the shooting was wrong. I think there was a lot wrong with the shooting, and we're going to get into it. But I want to lay the groundwork. I want to lay the foundation so that we can really make the point that there's a lot going on here, more so than it wasn't just ICE shooting some guy.
I am not being cute, nor am I playing games. I will play the video for you of a man saying, I am organizing these efforts. So what are we looking at? Consistently over the past 10 years, the left has been pretty cunning, and longer, actually. What they try to do is what I always here's what he said.
I'm helping to lead the community response, rapid response network that we have, given any ICE situations. I have a couple.
Let me go back.
They are lying about what's going on with Alex Preddy, of course. They are building their own narrative machine. Cam Higbee, Signal infiltrated. Buckle up, he says. I've infiltrated organizational signal groups all around Minneapolis with the sole intention of tracking down feds and impeding, assaulting, and obstructing them.
Okay, so long story short, what they're doing is they're using Signal to dispatch QRFs to attack feds, or at least to impede the feds. And
now, you might say this is
this guy
partisan factions. People organizing against ICE and CBP. It's just people, right? It's actually the government. So I'll show you. Let me see if we can. Here, we have the video right here, in fact. Rep. Alex Falconer, a Minnesota state rep. This is government. Here's what he said.
This is a representative of the state of Minnesota who is saying, I'm involved with this.
I'm helping to lead the community response, rapid response network that we have, given any ICE situations. I have a couple cards here. I'm willing to stop in to stay around and talk with anybody that wants any more information. We've got a couple groups on the app Signal that we would love for you to join. Whether or not you want to be a part of the Resistance Network, I fully understand that you may not be comfortable with that, but you can help us in a lot of ways by sending an alert that if you see any suspicious vehicles, any traffic, if you know of anybody that is being targeted, that's being detained, we have resources immediately available that we can send to you, send to their family, get them legal help.
We have resources that are immediately available that we can send to them, send to you, send to their family. He's talking about dispatching QRFs of disruptors. That's exactly what he's talking about. And if you don't believe me, just listen to what they have to say. Hear from Crowder.
But now I think you guys are starting to get a better picture as to how organized, how coordinated these people.
Blank here. We've got the Audi. They're driving very evasively. They just pulled through into a parking lot, did a loop through the parking lot, and then got back on Central going north. We're trying to get back on them, but we might lose them here.
Gotcha. I am going to relay this.
Who do you think they're relaying this to? They're relaying this to their ground force, their QRF.
We have some bars in the back of the car as well, so this is definitely highly suspicious.
Yeah, you say 4 occupants, one of them maybe with a helmet of some sort?
Yeah, I got a better look at them a couple more times. There's definitely 4, at least. I think they're all helmeted, all masked.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I wonder.
Okay, so with that context, understanding that this is what Alex Preddy was involved in. Now I want to play this from Brandon Herrera and Donut Operator. Now, context, Brandon Herrera is a gun guy. Donut Operator was a police officer and does a lot of shooting breakdowns. I'm sure if you watch me, you probably know who Donut is. We're going to get into what they have to say and what I agree and disagree with.
Tried to surrender himself to law enforcement, and the rest is history. And once again, Joseph Rosenbaum died doing what he loved, attempting to touch a child.
This is just the end of him talking about.
All right, now let's go back to Minesota. So the real question is, was this a good shoot or a bad shoot, specifically from a federal law enforcement perspective? Now, that's something I know a little bit about, but not something I would feel comfortable speaking on as a subject matter expert. So I'll slightly defer to the help of somebody who is. So joining me for this part, I have former police officer, professional body cam footage reviewer, and one of my best friends on the planet, Cody, a.k.a. Donut Operator.
Hi, everyone.
He said the thing.
Hello. It's King Bootlicker, or whatever you guys are sending me in my DMs the past couple of days. No, I'm here to talk about this incident pretty objectively. Just kind of go through the, is it lawful?
Here's one of the elements that
those homos are wearing the same shirt. Fucking fags. No, I'm kidding. I am teasing. They are wearing the same shirt, though. That's funny as fuck. So Donut has a lot of experience talking about things like this. I would say if there is a subject matter expert on this kind of thing, it's Cody. And I think he has a relatively good point.
That I think makes this really dicey on the officer's perspective, or from the officer side, because from all the stuff that I've seen, Preddy was disarmed the moment the first shot was fired. Yes, they'd already called, gun, gun, gun. They'd removed the gun from his holster. So the guy in the gray shirt or gray sweatshirt is walking away. Mm-hmm. And it is very hard to tell from the grainy footage, but it seems like the SIG that he took off of Preddy is the one that goes off first.
You kind of see his hand go like that because he's holding it sideways as he's walking away, and the hand kind of does that motion.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's like 320p footage, so it's really, really freaking hard to tell.
And it almost.
So if you're watching this, you can kind of see the slide moving. It definitely looks like the SIG went off.
Looks like you can see a frame where the slide is back.
Yeah.
And so that being the first shot to kick it off, I don't know if it would be an accidental discharge because it's the SIG, doing what SIGs do.
Yeah.
Or if it's, the guy's got a bunch of adrenaline and he just has an ND with a gun he just pulled off of the suspect, right?
Yeah, true.
So either one, I don't know.
Well, that was a big one too. If we're jumping right into it, I don't know if it was communicated that he had taken the gun from him to the other officers, because you can clearly see him one angle he's reaching, like the back angle, and then when it goes to the Preddy's right hip, you can see the officer pull the gun out.
Yeah.
And then going back to the side angle, you see him walking away with the gun, and that's when you see the little like maybe.
Sure. And that's one thing that I had to kind of work through too, is that like in that side angle where you see also the same angle you see the SIG go off.
Yeah.
We can very clearly see that Preddy was just disarmed and the cop is walking away with the gun. Yeah. The cops who were there in the tussle involving pepper spray and, wrestling this guy on the ground, you know what they didn't have access to? That fucking camera angle.
All 4 camera angles.
Yeah. So like this is something that, like you said, we've had 48 hours to dissect this, but the guys are in the moment. They didn't see all this shit.
That's where objective reasonableness comes in. Greg Bovino said, the head of ICE in a press conference, he was like, hey, you people on the internet, you've had 24 plus hours to go over this. Those officers in the moment had a split second to decide what to do. And inside of objective reasonableness, what officers have to deal with is the totality of the circumstances, which is what is in front of them at that moment, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're smelling, like everything in that moment to take in.
And that's a legal term, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The totality of the circumstances. There's pepper spray, there's fighting. They know there's a guy with a gun. And this, and this is me just trying to be objective in this, is they hear gun goes off. Maybe it's the 320 that indeed, or maybe, it's a gun went off. Someone yelled gun. And so these officers have to rely on what they're hearing and what the officers around them are saying, which is gun. And they went based off of that to protect themselves and the people around them.
Yeah, because I think this is where it can fall into the situation of two things can be true.
Yeah.
That Preddy didn't deserve to die, but it also wasn't just a baseless execution.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing here. It seems like these lunatics don't understand that, yeah, he didn't deserve to die. He was disrupting. He was getting involved in shit that he probably shouldn't have been getting involved with, but that's not a death sentence in this country.
Yeah, they just walk up to the guy because he was carrying or because he was protesting or filming them and just pop them in the head.
Because there's a lot of things you could say about it. Like, were they overly aggressive? Were they, kind of initiating some of those things? And that's something that is, can be up for debate.
Yeah.
But
call it what it is. It was a clusterfuck.
Yeah. The one thing I did want to bring up, too, that I thought was interesting is that the reason that he was there specifically, like from all the Signal group chat leaks and everything, is that like they have groups of people that are going around specifically trying to disrupt federal law enforcement. Like that's the entire purpose of them being there.
Yeah.
And so right there you have even Brandon acknowledging he very well could have been one of these QRF members. And I believe he was. I believe it said that he was. I think Tim Pool has the proof that he was on duty that day. And that he was looking for somewhere to be dispatched to.
And what I guess a lot of them don't realize is that if you're interfering with official law enforcement duties, if you're interfering with arrests and things like that, like that's a crime. I'm not saying it's a crime that's deserving of a death penalty.
Yeah.
Obviously, but like that's something like, you see somebody get pulled over on the side of the road. And you try getting in between that officer and the person that's being pulled over and see how that goes for you.
Yeah, like, that's obstruction right off the bat. It's illegal as shit.
Yeah, and again, that's not, you don't deserve to be shot for it. But what the problem is, that leads to an escalation. Whereas if you get in the fucking officer's way, that will probably be escalated to physical force. Whether it's arresting you or just getting you the fuck out of the way, which then can lead to a tussle, which if you're armed can lead to a fatal shooting. Like that's just, it's the thing that escalates things further. My perspective, not from a law enforcement side, but from a guy who conceal carries all the time, right? My problem with it is when I'm carrying a firearm, I'm actually way less likely to be in a confrontation. Like if I'm not carrying and I'm at a bar or something like that, I'm way more likely to get into a confrontation than if I'm armed.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, if I'm armed, that immediately every conflict I get in can be a fatal one.
Absolutely.
Because I brought a firearm to the equation. That's part of the responsibility of being a concealed carrier.
Yeah, and in a fight, that firearm is everyone's firearm.
Yeah.
Just like they pulled Preddy's weapon away, but if there are weapons in the equation, if there are weapons in a tussle, then that's everyone's gun. That's everyone's pepper spray. That's everyone's knife.
That's the thing that drives me crazy. Because
so that's the most important part right there. What Cody just said is if there's a weapon involved, that's everyone's weapon. Whether it's a gun, a knife, a pepper spray, whatever it is, that belongs to everyone now. Because there have been videos of cops getting their own pepper spray used against them. They've broken off their belt or whatever, and someone grabs it and pepper sprays the cop. This is why we put cops through the pepper spray training, so that they know what it's like when that happens, because it inevitably will happen. So, what do I think about it? Well, I think personally, my opinion is this was lawful but awful. I think that given the circumstances of the shooting, given that I don't believe it was communicated by the officer in gray that he had the firearm, they heard gun, 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 a couple seconds go by, and then they hear a gunshot. I believe that at least one of the officers involved okay, then. I believe that at least one of the officers involved believed that Preddy had a firearm. I don't think that they didn't know. Now, a lot of people were saying that he had his phone and he reached back after his gun was taken. He reached back and then came back up. And it's possible that, yeah, in that adrenaline dump, in that moment, in that, oh my God, I'm fighting for my life with this guy. Yeah, maybe he thought it was a gun. Yeah, maybe. I don't think that Preddy deserved to be shot. I don't believe that he deserved to be killed. I think that there's a probability that in that moment, maybe it was just a flash of that motion, and that cop was like, "Oh fuck, he's going for it," because the officer that took the gun didn't say, "Hey, I have the gun," and it would make sense if he reached back and he's coming this way. Yeah, it would make sense that maybe they thought he snapped off a round coming out of his holster. Maybe they thought he snapped off a round coming over, trying to just hit someone. And I guarantee you, it all happened so fast for the officers involved that we will never understand how quick it happened. Now, one thing you can do, if you don't believe me, if you think I'm full of shit, go to your local mixed martial arts gym or your local Brazilian jiu-jitsu class or whatever, and ask them to give one guy a dummy gun and ask them to roll with you and show you how fast they can deploy that, and see if you can make out details on the dummy gun. Have them paint a color on it that you're going to see. The dummy guns are usually blue. Have them put a little piece of red tape on it. See if you can tell them where the red tape was. The answer is going to be no. Like 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be no. You're not going to know where the red tape is, because in that moment when you're fighting for your life, your brain doesn't pay attention to the small details. Your brain isn't going to pay attention to, and again, here's the size difference between a cell phone and a Glock with a flashlight. Is your brain going to, and especially this way, is your brain going to catch the size difference? There's not much size difference. They're very similarly sized items. A lot of people say, oh, well, that's completely unreasonable. Who mistakes a phone for a firearm? Even a smaller gun like the Springfield here, it's still relatively close to cell phone sized in height. Your brain in that moment isn't catching the width of that item. You're seeing a black rectangular shape, and your brain is probably going straight to, that's a gun with a flashlight, and I'm about to get shot. It happens all the time. There were operators overseas that shot people all the time that had a ladle in their hand because they just came crashing through someone's front door. And in that adrenaline dump, they were like, no, they had a knife. No, it was a ladle. You shot someone who was making soup. You shot the wrong person. They were making soup. It was a ladle. No, it was a knife. It had to be a knife. Hey, your brain does weird shit when you're in the moment, when you're in the adrenaline dump, when you're fighting for your life, and I'm not making excuses for the cop. I'm telling you, as someone who's been through this much combatives training, your brain does weird shit. Your brain does weird shit. I've been in fights where I've hyper fixated on one thing, and I passed the opportunity for multiple other submissions because I was hyper fixated on that one submission because I was panicking and rushing and trying to get the submission so bad that the only submission I could think of was the one I was trying in that moment. I didn't think, okay, I can drop this attempt and go to this and I can still submit the person. I didn't go to, I can win this. I went to, if I don't get this submission, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's a lot that goes on in your brain, and that's in a controlled environment. Now add the fact that you might die in the next 3, 4, 5 seconds. It's really a bad situation. That being said, to all these people that are saying Alex Preddy was shot because he was carrying a firearm, wrong. Alex Preddy was shot because a gunshot went off. Alex Preddy was shot because it wasn't communicated that his firearm was taken from him. Alex Preddy was shot because there were people blowing whistles obnoxiously loud, disorienting everybody involved. Alex Preddy was shot because he was part of a group that was going out to fuck with ICE. There's a lot of reasons he was shot. Okay, it's not because ICE is Nazis and ICE wants to kill Americans, okay? That's not what's happening. That's not what's going on here. What's happening is a very simple, very explainable situation. We have two factions, and they are fighting. ICE and the anti-ICE protesters, the Antifa types. They are well organized. They are doing their best to go after ICE. They're doing their best to make themselves look the victim. And in some cases, like Renee Good, they did a really good job of making Renee look like the victim. Again, do I think Renee deserved to be shot and killed? No. But how else do you stop a 4 or 5, 6,000 pound speeding vehicle when you've been hit by the car so hard that it bruises your ribs and causes internal bleeding? How do you stop that when you physically standing there is not enough to stop them? If they're willing to run you over, who else are they willing to run over? And maybe she didn't intend on hitting the officer. Okay, fair enough. But the officer was struck. And I'm sure once he was struck, he was like, oh shit, who else is she going to run over? I'm sure he didn't go out and decide, I'm going to shoot me a lesbian today. I think he left his house and thought, we got to go after a couple people. I hope we roll them up. And the wife's making tacos for dinner. And I hope it's not a long day because I want to go home and get some tacos. I think that's probably what was on his mind. Not, man, I can't wait to kill some lesbian today. The guy that shot Alex Preddy. I don't think he was like, I'm going to shoot one of these douchebags today. I think he was like, man, I hope today goes smooth. It's my daughter's birthday. I want to go hang out with my kiddo. I really don't believe that. And I don't think it was actually his kid's birthday. I could be wrong. I'm just using that as an example. I think these people went out. And I don't think Alex Preddy went out and thought, yeah, I'm going to get shot and killed today. Now, there was a report of a prior engagement between Preddy and ICE where he had ribs broken, I believe. And he did say that there was some level of fear that he was going to be killed. But I don't think that was for this event. I don't think that meant this event. So, yeah, I think were the ICE agents in the right to shoot him? I don't know. Plain and simple. You don't know if they were in the right or not. I don't think he deserved it. I definitely think there's a large group of people saying, oh, well, he was carrying a firearm and that's why he was murdered. And I think those people are just lying. I specifically want to kind of call out Moist Critical. Charlie, I think you have a really bad take on this. I agree with your sentiment. But I think you have a really bad take on this because you are making it sound like he was executed for having a firearm. and that's just not the case. Also, Charlie said something about Preddy being pistol whipped, and I couldn't really tell if he was being pistol whipped or not, so I can't say that Charlie's wrong. I can't say that Charlie's right on that. I couldn't really tell if he was being pistol whipped, and if anyone has that footage, I would love to see it, because if Preddy's being pistol whipped, then these ICE agents are 100% in the wrong, and they need to face fucking charges for like pistol whipping someone. That is completely unnecessary. Like, you can kill someone if you pistol whip them. Like, there is no reason for that. Now, I am fully on board with roughing someone up a little bit if they won't give you their hand and be handcuffed. Yeah, of course, some distractionary blows, rough them up a little bit, loosen them up. Yeah, maybe, okay, I don't want to get tuned up by the cops. I'm gonna go with it now. Totally understand that, but pistol whipping is a whole different thing. No, if someone was actually pistol whipping Preddy, they need to be appropriately charged with battery at the very least. If you're pistol whipping someone, yeah, that's even in a law enforcement setting. No, that's not how we do. Now, I could say there are probably some times where a pistol whip might be necessary, but it's for the most part just for this. We're gonna scuffle with you and put you in handcuffs and maybe take you downtown, get your fingerprints, and send you on your way. No. And that's the other thing, is this very well could have been if he would have just submitted. Preddy 100% was resisting arrest. If Preddy hadn't been resisting arrest, more than likely, he would have been rolled up, they would have fingerprinted him, taken some pictures, and sent him on his way. More than likely, they wouldn't have charged him. They would have rolled him up and been like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Don't do it again. Leave us alone. Now the people on the right are saying, the extra magazine was intent. The extra magazine isn't intent. The extra magazine never was intent. There is no law about carrying an extra magazine. There's no law saying you can't carry an extra magazine. There's no law saying you have to carry an extra magazine. He was concealed carrying with a spare mag. That does not make intent. Now, I could see the argument if he was running an overt battle belt or like a war belt or a shooting belt of some sort. I could see the argument for intent. I could definitely see an argument there. He was concealed carrying a pistol and a spare magazine. A lot of people conceal carry a pistol and a spare magazine. And for a long time, I was team spare mag. And then I kind of became not team spare mag because I was making myself miserable carrying all that. So I decided that instead of being team spare mag, I would be team just my gun. And if I'm going into a shitty situation, I can just carry spare mags. And if I needed to, if I was worried about it, I can slide this mag into my pocket. I can just run a mag in my front pocket and it would be fine. I usually run my wallet in my front pocket. So I could slide this in here and it would disappear. And I could run my wallet somewhere else. And then I have a spare mag. Is it the fastest? No. Is it the best option? No. But a spare mag does not make intent. I carry 2 spare mags every day. They're not on my person, but they're nearby. They're within arm's reach when I'm driving. They're nearby every day. And when I'm in my office, I have my gun belt and I have on my body armor, I have a spare mag. If I'm kitting up onto my body armor, here, spare Glock mag on my body armor. If I'm kitting up into my body armor, that doesn't make intent. You could argue if he was wearing a plate carrier, if he was wearing a war belt, you could argue, yeah, okay, maybe he was asking for some trouble. Here's an example. Now this is my war belt. I've shown it a million times, but for anyone who hasn't seen it, my war belt is very sustainment oriented, not so much like a CQB belt like a lot of people would run. And it lives here just like so. We got a holster, a knife, some water, and some mags, and another little knife. And that's really all there is to it. Got a dump pouch here and a little, these are to mark rooms. If he was wearing something like this, oh, and I got a med kit and a tourniquet. If he was wearing something like this, I could see the argument for, okay, you know what? Maybe he was looking to scrap. Maybe he was looking to get into some battle. Maybe he was looking to try his hand with fate. If he was wearing something like body armor, if he was wearing a plate carrier, I could see someone saying, okay, maybe he was looking to get a little rowdy. You know, maybe he was looking to get a little turned up. Maybe he was looking to tussle a little bit and be a rough boy tonight. Maybe. I could see that argument. Concealed carrying a pistol isn't a crime. It's never been a crime. Some states make it a crime because they don't get their fucking extortion money, but that state is breaking the law. Like New York, for example, and Ohio used to. They are breaking the law. And in my opinion, if you have a concealed carry permit, you're allowing the state to break the law. Now, if I'm rolling out in body armor and war belt, shit's gone real bad. Okay? And the way I use this stuff is, so I have, this would be kind of an overt, maybe I'm hiking or camping or whatever, and I don't care. I'm going to run this. I run this holster a lot when I ride my dirt bike just because it gives the gun some space off of me and I don't get all that sweat build up because it's spaced away from my body a little bit. So I kind of run it in stages, right? So this is like every day, like very low likelihood I'm going to need a gun. This would be step 2, more likelihood I'm probably going to need a gun at some point, or I'm in an environment where I don't have to be quite so covert about the fact that I'm carrying. I can afford to print a little bit or show a little bit or potentially even open carry. Again, for example, camping or just being out in the woods. If I'm in a new area where I'm wheeling, for example, I might have this accessible here because if I get out, I want to make that immediate, like, step the fuck off, I'm armed statement. Most of the time, this is run as a concealment holster, though. Just shirt over it, and we're good to go. Very rare that I'll wear the mags. If I'm wearing mags, if I'm getting to that point, I'm going to run my belt. Okay, so that's the next step in my progression of how overt do I need to be. This would be like an all-out shit is hit the fan situation, and there's like looting and rioting in the streets, and I am going to want to throw this on just to kind of make the point that, like, you don't want to fuck with this. It's going to be, I might not win, but it's going to be a fight if you try. And then, you know, if it's all out rioting in the streets and the city's being burnt down, then it's going to be the plate carrier with the belt. The belt will go on. Sometimes I'll even bring my belt, like if we're going to be out for a long period of time in the woods or whatever. And sometimes I'll just throw the belt on because it's convenient to have a knife and water and a pistol, and like it's off me. It's on my belt. It's all off me, so the sweat isn't really an issue. Or it's really cold, and I don't want to be trying to have this guy under all my layers, and so I'll throw the belt on over my layers, and I don't care that I'm being overt because I'm spending time in the woods doing my thing. And yeah, there's still critters in the woods, even when it's cold and you're bundled up. It's less likely, but still. Again, and it's nice to have everything I need is right here instead of, oh, I got to go get my ruck for my knife, and then I got to, where's my water at? And, you know, everything's right there on the belt line. It's water's right here, knife's right here, pistol's right here. And it just depends on the context most of the time. But most of the time, I'm not running a war belt or a battle belt, or in my case, I guess it would be more of like a sustainment belt. I'm not running that if I'm not looking for trouble or if I'm not in the woods where I know I'm going to be left alone. Very similar to what Preddy was doing. He was concealed carrying. It's very unlikely if someone's concealed carrying that they're looking for shit unless they're like, okay, I'm going to go assassinate someone now. If I was going to assassinate someone, I'm not going to wear body armor. I'm going to wear a fucking gray hoodie, you know? Like, I'm going to try to blend in as much as possible and have that thing concealed. So you could make the argument, okay, yeah, there was intent there. But I think most people would see what I'm saying more as if he was looking for a fight, he would have had more than one mag. If he was looking for a fight, he would have had a rifle. If he was looking for a fight, he wouldn't have been carrying what a lot of us have carried every day, a pistol and a spare mag. I really think this whole thing is over the top nonsense. I think the answer here is everyone's wrong. The agents were wrong. Preddy was wrong. The media's wrong. Everyone's wrong. Everyone has their own spin to put on this. Everyone's full of shit. That's the truth of the matter. Preddy was not the saint that they're making him out to be. However, he also wasn't this psychopath going on a murder binge that the right is trying to make him out to be. He wasn't perfect by any means. He was looking to start shit, but he wasn't looking to kill anybody. He was looking to maybe get roughed up a little bit or maybe rough up an ICE agent or whatever. But he wasn't looking to kill anybody. He wasn't looking to hurt anybody. I don't even think the dude would have thrown a punch. I think he probably would have gotten him maybe in a little tussle and fucking maybe got arrested and taken to the police department. And I'm sure they would have been like, all right, go home. Fuck off. We got bigger things to worry about. I think the whole thing was stupid. I think the agent that took Preddy's gun was a fucking fool for not saying, hey, I have the gun. He's not armed. How hard would it have been to just be like, I have the gun? Now, that being said, we don't know that that wasn't said because of all the assholes with their beautiful whistles, which were very fucking annoying when I was trying to actually listen to what's going on, and all I can hear is whistles. Can you fuck stop? Because here's the thing, right? If you weren't blaring the fucking whistles and you heard the officer that took the gun say, hey, I have his gun. Oh, well, now this is murder. Now this is fucking murder. Because, hey, I have his gun is clear. Gun, gun, gun. Hey, I have his gun. And then the gunshot goes off. Now it's murder. And you have to understand, too. You're wrestling on the ground with this guy, and you hear a gunshot go off. You don't have time to figure out, was it him? Was it someone else? Like, you know this dude at least had a gun, so this dude is the most immediate threat. You don't know that he didn't have a second gun. You don't know that he didn't have a little pocket rocket or a little ankle carry. So there's more to it than just, oh, he had a gun. There have been times where I have considered carrying two guns. You know, I considered carrying a snub-nosed revolver in an ankle holster for a while. And then I just kind of decided not to. I considered carrying there was a point where I would have before it got stolen, I would have a 380 in my glove box on top of whatever gun I was carrying. Carry whatever I was carrying at the time, and I had a little 380 in my glove box as well. And my favorite thing, I loved that 380 so much. I'm so pissed that it got stolen. We would be going through the woods and there's like this huge trash pile, and like my buddy would just randomly be like, you won't mag dump the trash pile. And so that was our thing. We would just like mag dump the trash pile. And now the trash pile is a big, like it's a backstop in its own. Someone like dug up the earth and made the pile out of dirt and fucking, so like you're not shooting through it. And so we would like mag dump the trash pile. And it would be so fun. Like the most fun you'll ever have is shooting guns at trash with your friends. Just mag dumping the trash pile was like a tradition at a certain point. But then some shitbag stole it, and my 380's gone, and it makes me sad because that was the first gun I ever actually like fixed. Like it was the first gun I did on my own. I fixed it. I figured out what parts it needed, and some asshole stole it. So that sucks. I'll find another one day. I mean, it was just a cool little gun to have. I enjoyed it. It was a fun little, just a shitty little gun, you know? And like, it wasn't. I mean, I'm glad that's the one that got stolen. If anything, we're gonna get stolen. I bought it for like $40. I think I put like 25, $30 in the price. I didn't even have $100 in the gun. So I'm glad if anything got stolen, it was that. But I digress. And prefer my shit not get stolen, but you know, thanks to the little asshole down the road. But yeah, I don't think Preddy was looking for this. I don't. I really, and I don't think that the ICE agents or the was it ICE agents or was it CBP agents? Whatever. Regardless, it doesn't fucking matter because the fucking left is making no delineation. They don't care. One is as good as the other. The agents in question, though, they're not wrong, but they're not right. They're not wrong because, yeah, you're rolling with someone, you hear gun, 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 and then you hear a gunshot. Logically, the guy you're rolling with has the gun. It just fired around at someone. Logically, yeah, you got to dispatch that threat. That makes sense. They're also wrong because the guy that took it didn't say, hey, I have the gun. He does not have a gun. He didn't say, hey, he's been disarmed. Hey, I've got him. I've got the gun. Nothing. At least it seems. So you're wrong in that matter. Yeah, you shouldn't have killed him. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, you could have shot him in the. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say some stupid bullshit like that because no, you couldn't. You shoot him, and then you start administering aid as soon as the threat's over, and you try to preserve life. End of the day, it is what it is. You have to shoot to stop the threat, and then you try to preserve life. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes there is no preservation because you got a shot in the right spot, and he's on the timer now. He's got 30 seconds. It's so dumb when people are like, oh, well, you could have shot him in the leg. You know what's in the leg? Giant fucking arteries. If you shoot someone in the leg, you're more than likely going to kill him. Oh, well, you could have shot him in the shoulder. Do you know how hard it is to aim for this when I could aim for this? I mean, like, I got, what, 2 fingers here? Or I can go a whole spread out hand. And like, it's just fucking stupid. The arguments, oh, well, you didn't have to shoot him. You could have shot him in the leg. You could have tased his pinky. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they should have used a taser. They should have used pepper spray. No. Because if you believe that someone's shooting at you, you respond with lethal force. On paper, yeah, they did the right thing. One officer here that didn't make clear, hey, I have the gun. I have the weapon is clear from the situation. That dude, I'm not going to say he's responsible for it because if Preddy hadn't gotten rowdy with these guys, the situation would have never arose. Also, if the agent who took the gun would have just said, hey, I have his gun, this situation probably wouldn't have arose. Also, if the agent hadn't been fucking with his gun, it might not have gone off. So, you know, like, there's a lot of fingers to point. There's a lot of people to point fingers at. It's not just ICE. It's not just Preddy. It's not just one or the other. So that's where I'm at with this. I think everybody's wrong and everyone's a dick. That's what I think. I think this whole thing was just a big cock measuring competition and it got out of hand. Because I'm willing to bet these ICE agents saw Preddy starting shit and immediately it was a dick measuring competition of, we're doing our shit here, you're not going to be here, fuck off. And then Preddy, I'm sure, was measuring dicks back, saying, no, I am going to be here actually, and I'm going to stop you because I'm the man. And I'm sure it just turned into a big dick waving competition, and now there's a dead man. And none of it was worth it. None of it was worth it with Renee Good. turning it into a metaphorical dick measuring competition of, I'm going to stop you, I'm going to block the road just to prove that my cock's bigger than yours. And then when you try to arrest me, I'm going to speed off. Just to prove how much bigger my dick is than yours. Who fucking cares? Let ICE do their thing and let these people fight it in court. Don't fight the cops in the fucking street. Fight it in court. It has not gotten to a point where it is worth it to say fight cops in the street. It's nowhere near that bad. Now, if cops were dragging fucking grandma out of the fucking house and executing her in the front yard, fuck yeah, fight cops in the street then. Yes, 100%. You are wrong if you don't. But in this case, when they're arresting people who aren't even supposed to be here, and occasionally they got to rough up someone, and occasionally they rough up the wrong person, hey, fucking, I wish I would pay to get pulled over and beat up by ICE because I would sue the fuck out of them. I don't understand why the left doesn't get that you can sue the fuck out of them if they're wrong. You can sue the shit out of them if they're wrong, and you will make so much money. You will make millions of dollars if they're wrong. If you're not an illegal immigrant and they fucking pull you out of their car and beat the shit out of you, you can sue the fuck out of them. And you will make so much money. It would be amazing the amount of money. You would never work again. But it's not about that. It's about we need the illegals to stay here because the Democrats need a voting base. The Democrats have done this thing for a long time where they like free labor. And they started a whole civil war about it, and it seems like they're going to do the same thing again. So, that's really all I have here. I've gone a bit longer than I wanted to with this, but yeah, I just really I got tired of hearing all the stupid bullshit. So there you have it. That's all I got for you.